Well, kicking off the first of the press conferences here, delighted to say Doug Watson joins me now. Doug, first up, before we talk about your horses, this meeting means a lot, and we are in the 20th running. From ambulance driver to trainer in the 20th. On the face of it, it seems quite a journey.
Well, it was actually the foreman at Satish Seymour's at the time, and I don't believe we had any runners on the night, or if we did, he went ahead and let me. It was a small crew over here at that time. The racing community was a lot smaller, so we had to pick up the pieces where we needed to fill in, so that's what I did the first meet.
And it was quite a night.
Yeah, it was. It was fantastic seeing Cigar come over and seeing Dubai get in the headlights, headlines worldwide with the racing was a neat experience.
And to see the transformation to where we are now, nearly a $30 million race day. I mean, it is an extraordinary transformation, and this race course in itself is an amazing.
Sure. I mean, I think it's just grown exponentially over the years, as Dubai has in general, the building and everything else. So. It's a great meet, and it's the first one down with the dirt back down at Maidan, and it'll be interesting to see some of the results and how they get on.
Now, clearly, the move back to dirt for you, looking at your campaign through the racing season here, it's been a success. What do you put it down to, being back on the dirt for you?
I didn't do too well on the synthetic over the 5-year span. We were always trying to figure out how to win on the synthetic, and we didn't train on it daily. So we have our own training center over in Al Quoz, and I think that was a bit of a hindrance for us, because I think the horses use different muscles and push off differently and land differently. So I don't think we ever came over here and ran particularly well on it. And I know we would have horses at home that we thought were just flying, and we come over here and ran 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever it was, and then. This year, even through the first 3 or 4 meets where we were having some success, I still felt that every time I came over, I thought we were going to get those same results we were getting the last 5 years on the Tapeta, but the horses held the form that we thought they had, going into the races, so it was great.
Obviously in that way, you feel it's riding very true, and it's been easy for you to sort of campaign as a result. The confidence is there.
Yeah, I mean, we had some really nice seasons before the Tapeta went down, and you pretty much lost a little bit of confidence as a trainer over the last 5 years. And I know the first meet we had at Jebel Ali, what we would do was we were trying to anything to win on the Tapeta, so we were taking them away, putting them on a van, taking them up to Jebel Ali, and we did that the first meet. Before the first meet at Jebel Ali, we took 5 of the runners that we were going to have, and they all ran down the track, and the 4 that we didn't take up there ran well on the day, and so we decided that we just go back to the basics, what we had been doing before, and it has worked out well.
Okay, well, we'll start with, you've got a few horses, but does this, before we go specific, feel like you've got your strongest looking team for some time?
I'm going to be looking forward to the draws today for the 2 dirt, the mile and the 6 furlong, because I think both of those have a little bit of a chance. But overall, yes, it looks like we have a chance to, be in the money with a few. We had a nice year last year. We didn't win anything, but we were in the money with quite a few of them, and we'd like to go a little bit better than that.
Quite a lot of money grabs, so we all like that. But that's Candy Boy, the interesting one in the World Cup. You've only just had the horse for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
How's it been since the horse?
He's the easiest horse to deal with at home. We were a little bit worried about him at the beginning because he's a little bit lazy in his work, and luckily we were able to get some tips from his old trainer John Sadler in California, and realized that that's how he is. He's real laid back. He's a big horse. He's 16'3". He weighs out at 540 kilos. He's a big horse, and he never does anything too fast, but we would watch him canter every morning, and you'd think he's going 20 seconds a furlong, and then you clock him and he's going 16 seconds, and so you knew you had a pretty decent horse on your hands. So but he's progressed every time we've brought him over. He's worked across this track, some good works 3 times, and we did our last piece of work today at home, and he worked really well. So we're not confident going it. We've got a nice horse going into it who's in really good shape, who's acclimated very well, and we're just hopeful of a good run.
The time this morning, some people said,
it was quick, but our track's a little bit quicker than it would be here, and he's used to that track too, and we put him in the front today and let somebody just sit up sides him, and he did it really easy. It was 58.77 or something for 5 furlongs. He galloped out in just over a minute and 11 seconds, but he did it really easy, and he came back, and he wasn't blowing too bad. We're running off a long layoff, so we needed to have some good works leading up to it, but he'll bounce out of this pretty good.
So he's had a good blow this morning,
Yeah.
a really good blow,
Yeah.
but you look at the field, how do you feel against the Americans, the Japanese? Where do you rate him?
I think he stacked up pretty close in America against the American horses. Obviously, California Chrome and Leah are Group 1 winners, which he isn't yet, but he stacked up pretty well with the horses he ran against. He ran a good group of horses. He's run against, Shared Belief before, and he actually finished in front of California Chrome in the Pennsylvania Derby. So anything's possible, and he's in good form, and we'll be a little hopeful.
You've already mentioned briefly Cool Cowboy for the Shaheen and Lyle for the Godolphin Mile.
Yeah.
The draw, you're quite convincing. In the mile, you really believe a low draw is essential.
It is essential, I think. If you look at the stats for the year, and Pat Cummings came up with and Trackus, I guess, came up with the stats, but 21 races have been run over a mile, and 18 of them have been won by horses that have drawn 7 into 1. So those high draws are very difficult. I think Lael drew 10 in the Godolphin Mile, in the Burj Nahar, the prep, and ran a good third, and that was his third race in 3 weeks. It's sometimes you feel like you're a bit hard on the horses, and I guess you are, but it's a very short season. He's had 3 weeks in between, and he's done very well. He worked exceptionally well this morning.
But you quite clearly feel that
if he gets a low draw, he should be in the money somewhere, if not a chance to win the race.
Okay,
that's the way I feel about it anyway.
Well, and what about Cool Cowboy in the Shaheen?
Yeah, he ran hard the other night. They purchased the horse in November, and he went to go to quarantine, and on the shipping from Chicago down to Florida, he got pneumonia. He was off just hand walking for about 4 weeks, and by the time he got into quarantine, David Scanlon's place in Ocala, he did a fantastic job with both him and Candy Boy, but he wasn't able to do much with Cool Cowboy. So most of the work was done here, and it was a short run up to the Super Saturday. I felt we had to run on Super Saturday just to prove that we were worthy of getting into this race, and I thought he did a good job off of 4 pieces of work.
And so you've had something to work with,
yeah,
leading up to Saturday night. Yeah. So have you, in the horses responding to?
Yeah, I mean, he's had 2 pieces of work. It was funny because leading up, it was all about trying to get him fit leading up to the Super Saturday, and probably his works weren't as sparkling as we thought they should be, looking at his work tabs in America and stuff. But we were just having to go on and get him as fit as we could to get over there. And since then, Pat Dobbs, who was going to ride him on the night, he worked him last Monday, and he thought he was going easy, and he went in like 46 and change. And I said, this week we got to go a little slower than that. So he went about 49 today, but he did it so easy, and he's had 2 pieces of work. I just felt we needed to get 2 more pieces in just to make sure that he was in top form. And it's a little, after such a hard run as he had on Super Saturday, to run back in 3 weeks, he could bounce a little bit, but he doesn't show that at home right now. He's really going around there well.
So a degree of optimism with those 2.
Yeah.
You've got other runners, got a couple in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Brief assessment of those 2.
Both nice
Meander and Coupe Tarde.
They both should stay the 2 miles with no problem. They're both higher class animals. Both Group 1 winners. One in Argentina, one in France. So the prep for this, the Natal Sheba Trophy. The rail was out real wide, and it was a funny run race with a horse going off in front and then everybody jockeying after that. But the ground was a bit firm, and I think it'll be. Meandre probably just wants a little bit of ease in the ground, and it was pretty firm that night. We'd had some winds for about 3 or 4 days leading up to the race, and it got pretty dry and firm. So it should be much better on the night, and I know he's going to stay the 2 miles, and looking forward to him.
And then one in the turf as well, the Mario.
Yeah, he won and came back after that, and he ran pretty poorly in the prep, and after the race he was a bit stiff behind, which he hadn't been. He's had a hard campaign. We took him to Singapore after running here last year. Then he went back to the Czech Republic, ran there, and then ran in France. So we were just going to wait until today and see how he worked to really make the decision. But he worked really well today, and he was bouncing out of it. So we're hopeful, but he's had a hard campaign.
But that's a tough race too.
It is a tough race. Yeah, they're all tough.
Well, I appreciate, but I mean, look at,
yes,
look at
I know. I agree.
What's in that one?
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
not going to be an easy one.
No.
But of your runners, you seem to be more and more looking at the Shaheen and the Mile as your two?
I feel comfortable with the ones on the dirt. I do with the ones on the turf too. Andre's disappointed a couple times in the past, but I do feel he's going into this as good as we've had him since we've trained him. You know, and so he would be one to look at. I think on the turf, but yeah, I'm more confident probably with the dirt runners that have the proven form over those trips and surfaces.
I know we mentioned it being at Ambulance and Drive to here, but it's still hard to believe that you haven't had a winner on Dubai World Cup
I
night.
know. We got close with Green Coast a couple years ago, and we thought we were going to win about a furlong out. And but yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have one. Yeah, any one of them. So
Any one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Any quick questions for?
Martin from Reuters. How
Yes.
good a chance do you think the new surface gives to American horses?
I mean, for us, as far as the way our horses ran on it, I think we train very similar to the way they do in America, but I don't see any problem with them getting through it, and it's a nice surface. It wouldn't be much different than Natal Sheba, maybe a little lighter on the clay side, but it's a nice surface, and it gets better every week, and it has throughout.
So is it similar to what they have in the US?
I haven't been there in 21 or 22 years now, so no, it's probably a little. I wouldn't know how to. You know, the bases in America are very firm and hard, and here you gotta, you know, as the base develops here, it's probably a bit easier on them than the bases in America underneath the cushion. So I'm not real sure. I'm sure they'll take to it though. I have no doubt that they'll take to it.
Doug, you said just now the track in the course of this season, the new track here, has changed a bit. Can you just enlarge on that?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, it was just basically laid just before we started the season, and all the tracks settle in. Dirt tracks, I mean, we've had ours resurfaced out on a training track, and it takes a while to settle in. They have to work it, and the base has to develop underneath of it. At first, you can go in with your finger and you can dig into the base a little bit, and then it'll get harder where you get just the cushion on top. And I think that's with the watering and everything else and the working it. It seems very even all the way around, which is sometimes hard to do that first season when it's down there, you know, but it's pretty consistent all the way around as far as depth goes, and I think they've done a fantastic job to get it to where it is now.
Any more for the other victims are turning up? Doug, thank you very much, and
No
best of
problem.
luck on Saturday night. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh.